Hi, it's Lars from Leader Insider, and in the next 40 minutes or so, I'm going to present you the golden nuggets from this week's book, From Good to Great, from Jim Collins, and without needing to read through the whole thing. Don't forget, at the end, I'm going to share you a secret link where you're able to download the free PDF of every single insight. So, of what I'm going to share today. You have to be watching the whole premiere in order to get this free information. So, stick around. I will promise you it will be worth your time. I know there are distractions like our mobile phones that constantly want our attention. So when you're reading normally a book, you're turning off all those distractions, and this show is concentrated on this same principle that you're focusing on the book you're reading, you're interested in right now. And in this show, I'm going to present you this information in the smallest possible chunks that you won't need to read the whole thing and just can actually learn it the fast way, I would say. So now put your cell phones off or out of grab range, and let's get right into it. You're probably wondering why I'm qualified to teach you this stuff. First, this is how I digest books. I mark every important, every interesting thing I'm reading in a book. And once I did this, like going through the whole book, I read the book once again. And only those passages I found interesting and then mark them with asterisks. I do this 3 times. So those with the 3 stars are the golden nuggets, the things I personally found most interesting, most life-changing from this book. The second thing is that I once read a study that there are only 10% of people who read those gems, those books that will improve your life, will get through the first chapter and continue reading. So I want to cope with this. I want to help with not actually following through the reading, because I had many books where I knew they were really important, but I just stopped. So yes, I will. And third, this is basically called the 80-20 principle. It's the book I'm reading right now. And what is called is that 20% of effort will take 80% of results. So if you're reading a book, you just should spend time on reading the most crucial things, but you don't probably know what the crucial things are. So this is what I'm going to present you here. Last but not least, we need to consider that knowledge is only potential power. Only the execution will make it into real power. Execution trumps knowledge every day of the week. So this is a question I ask myself personally for everything I learn. How can I use this knowledge right now to improve my life or the life those I love around me? And imagine what your life will be like after digesting several books in like only minutes, downloading the PDF, the spreadsheets, getting those insights, those most crucial parts of the book. How can you see how this will impact you on a whole nother level? Would this make things even better for you? And now let's get started. I'm having here right now the PDF where I marked the golden nuggets. So the first thing is that technology can accelerate and transform, but technology cannot cause a transformation. This is basically really interesting because I'm right now in a startup house where everyone is devastated about, hey, I need money, I need this to really get going. But one startup has like funding of 1 million euros, but they don't get it actually together. So this technology they use because they have the money don't accelerate, they don't cause a transformation. It could accelerate them, but only if they have the fundamentals there. The good to great companies had no name, tagline or program to signify the transformation. Indeed, some reports being unaware of the magnitude of the transformation at the time. Only later, in retrospective, did they become clear. Yes, they produce a truly revolutionary leap in results, but not by a revolutionary process. So this is really interesting because it will lay the foundation of this whole book. And there was a really great example, like spinning a giant steel spinning wheel. So the first turnaround, the first turn will take really much effort, will take really much pushes in this direction. But once it got started, it never was going to stop. But this is the important thing. Small right decisions add up quickly, and huge things had most literally not such a big impact in creating these tremendous transformations in companies. Compared to high-profile leaders with big personalities who make headlines and become celebrities, the good to great leaders seem to have come from Mars. Self-evasive, quiet, reserved, even shy. So I personally think that this book is most likely about leadership because because this lays the foundation of how to be a servant leader, how to make yourself valuable in the company's side, that you really can get to know, hey, this is really great. So you can accomplish anything in life, provided that you don't mind who gets the credit. Really great principles. Most of us do them wrong. I personally did this really wrong because I wanted to get the credit. But if you're not interested in who gets the credit, who gets to be on the podest, then you can really accomplish anything. Because this is just ego. Your ego stands in the way of really accomplishing things. If you want to be on top of the board, your subordinates will still be subordinates. And when they're out at the top and they believe, hey, you led them there, or they believe they did it on their own, but because of the freedom you gave them, this is really when things start to get moving and start to change. I never stopped become qualified for the job. This is what makes the difference between a level 5 and a level 4 leader. A level 5 leader never stops. Mastery never freaking stops. You want to always improve. You can always get better and better. Perfection never lasts. Perfection is a delusion we have because every time we think something is perfect, we can do it just a little bit better. Level 5 leaders are steady in duality, modest and willful, humble and fearless. So this is really interesting, because if we don't want to have our company run bankrupt when we're not there, when we want to get a CEO for us or for others, or be our own CEO, this is the traits we can look for. And humble and modest, they are not, hey, I'm out there, I'm so freaking great. They're like, yeah, I'm just doing what I'm doing, and this is the stuff. Who never lets his ego get in the way of his primary ambition. This is, like I told earlier, ego is one of the most devastating things we could do if we have those huge ambitions. Okay. Just checked something. Sorry. Who never... His placid persona hid an inner intensity, a dedication to make anything he touched the best it could possibly be. Not because of what he thought he would get, but because he simply couldn't imagine doing it any other way. So if you're like me and everything you want to touch, you want to improve, you make it the best you could possibly conceive it, then you know you have the seed in you for becoming a level 5 leader. It's not about what you get, but what you give that will transform your life. Anything you give will come back tenfold. So if you stop giving, you stop receiving. Fill all key seats with the best people, regardless of family background. This is the first step. This is the one most crucial fundamental difference a level 5 leader does first when they get into a new company, a new division. They set the seats with the right people, and before vision, before strategy, before anything, first get the right people. My hypothesis is that there are two categories of people, those who do not have the seats of level 5 and those who do. And I personally believe, because you're watching this video right now, you're one of the few who really have the level 5 seat in them. So we need to really consider and be willful to play our part as this role. The executive who ignites a transformation from good to great did not first figure out where to drive the bus and then get people to take it there. No, they first got the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus, and then figured out where to drive. So what I said basically earlier. Injection an endless stream of talent directly into the veins of the company. They hired outstanding people whenever and wherever they found them, often without any specific job in mind. So if you're actually hiring someone or something, or you're hiring, or even if you want to hire yourself, you need to consider, is this person truly remarkable? Is this person really outstanding? And if not, don't hire them. And if you're honest to yourself and you're not outstanding, how can you change to get to this level of personal development? This is what my journey is right now about. Wells Fargo and Fannie Mae both illustrated the idea that who question comes before what questions, before vision, before strategy, before tactics, before organizational structure, before technology. Who am I going to play along with? This is the most crucial thing. I personally have it. We founded a company and it just everything went wrong it possibly could get. Not because we didn't have the expertise, not because we didn't have the capital, just because we I worked together with two people that were not the outstanding person you need to really get a company going. They were really good. They are really good people, but really good won't get you to where you want to be ultimately, especially in the higher up positions. Practice discipline number 1. Wait. The let people languish in uncertainty for months or years, stealing precious time in their lives that they could use to move on to something else, when in the end they aren't going to make it anyway. That would be ruthless. To deal with it right up front and let the people get on with their lives, that is righteous. So this basically means that if you hired someone that's not truly remarkable, not truly outstanding, it is in your decision, you need to make the fine and the righteous decision to really let him go, to not abuse his time and not the time of your subordinates, because a chain is only as strong as its weakest part. Practical discipline number 1. When in doubt, don't hire, keep looking. And practice discipline number 2. When you know you need to make a people change, act. Act immediately. Act as soon as possible. The moment you feel you need to tightly manage someone, you've made a hiring mistake. The best people don't need to be managed, guided, taught, led, yes. So if you need to tell them like every step they need to do and tell them, hey, you need to do it here and right there, this and this and this, it's once you feel, oh, this is way too tight, it's really, you need to let them go, basically. Letting the wrong people hang around is unfair to all the right people. Like the chain, the weakest parts, this is where the chain will break. So we only want the strongest parts, because every other part is going to be useless if we still don't fix the weak parts. Every minute devoted to putting the proper person in the proper slots is worth weeks of time later. So basically the whole first chapter is about hiring really the greatest people that are out there. And practical discipline number 3, put your best people on your biggest opportunities, not your biggest problems. What happens if you put the best people on the biggest problems? Hey, they will handle those, but problems are here to be solved or to be ignored if they're not that important. But your opportunities is where you can accelerate success. You can only, it's like if you really want to have wealth in your life, like $1 million, you could either save up on it, or you can increase your value to increase the money you make. How much money can you save? Not that much. It's limited by the amount you make. And how much more money could you make? Are there people that make the 10 times more than you right now in a month? Are there people that make 100 times more, 1,000 times more? What is different between those and you? Your evaluation strategy and tactics of how you're going to distribute wealth. All of the debates were from the common good of the company, not its own interests. So this is what a really great leader does. He's putting the company first and not his own interests. It's just, I had a discussion with with a business partner of mine, and he were like, yeah, you're putting your interest first, and I was like, no, my interests are really freaking, are not even here on the standpoint. I personally believe that the best interest in this company is to do this marketing stuff here right now. And he was like, okay, let's do it. One of the dominant themes from our research is that breakthrough results come by a series of good decisions diligently executed and accumulated on top of the other. It's like the Kaizen principles from Japan. If you're doing small, minute improvements, this will add up exponentially. There's not such a thing as this one big, giant decision project that will lead the company, lead yourself to massive improvement. You absolutely cannot make a series of good decisions without first confronting the brutal facts. That honesty, this is what a leader does. A leader picks up the stone he doesn't want to pick up and looks under it and really sees the thing he doesn't want to see. And most of you guys just pick up the stones and look somewhere else. But you really need to look where you don't want to look and find the brutal facts you need to conquer right now. This is what a leader does. A leader first and foremost creates change much more rapidly than any other person. How do you manage in a way as not to demotivate people? And one of the single most demotivating actions you can do is to hold up false hopes, soon to be swept away by events. It's like we discussed earlier. When you have the wrong people here, this is one of the most demotivating things you have for the right people. The right people don't need to be motivated. They are motivated, they are driven by themselves. But only if you don't have demotivating things that hinder them to be as effective as they could be. How lead with questions, not with answers. So there was a really interesting study that was once conducted on the CEO meetings of the highest companies, and 95% of the comments were actually comments, and only 5% of the interruptions were questions. So we really need to consider, we as a leader have people that are much better in their field of expertise than we are, and the only thing we can do is ask questions and not give them answers. They have most likely better answers because we hire them because they are more intelligent than we are. One particular powerful way to accomplish this is through red flag mechanisms. Red flag mechanisms are one thing for its own. If you want to know more about it, please write it down in the comments. Leadership does not begin just with vision. It begins with getting people to confront the brutal facts and act on the implications. So this is one really interesting. This is really interesting, and because vision is only as good as how honest you are. If you don't ever are honest where you are really truly in your life right now, it's like using a GPS. If you don't know where you are, you can't go where you want to be. You first need to find out where you are, then find out where you want to be. And the way, it's variable. If there are some traffic or some bullshit around the way, the GPS will move. But you need to know every time exactly where you are and where you want to be, or else you render useless. or else you drive in one direction because you don't know where you are, and this is the whole false direction because you weren't brutally honest where you are on the GPS signal. What we did was so simple, and we kept it simple. It was so straightforward and obvious that it sounded almost ridiculous to talk about it. So if you want to get your claim, want to know why you're here, it's most likely much simpler as you might think, because life is really simple if you believe that it's simple. To have a denominator for the sake of having a denominator, but for the sake of gaining insight that ultimately leads to more robust and sustainable economics. This is a really interesting mindset shift we need to understand. To have a denominator, to have the one thing you're really doing out there, to really get it through, not for the sake of having it. Avoid bureaucracy and hierarchy, and instead create a culture of discipline. When you put these two complementary forces together, a culture of discipline with an ethic of entrepreneurship, you get a magical alchemy of superior performance and sustainable results. So, culture of discipline, this is one of the first things a startup needs to learn, because all the startups that are right here, most of them, don't have the discipline to get there every single day, to get through, to make the small decisions, to gain up momentum. And without the ethic of entrepreneurship basically, for my part, says, I don't know how we'll get to my vision, but I know if I stand still, if I don't decide right now, I won't even get nearer. And if I'm heading to a wrong direction because of the decision I did, and I notice it, I change it in this moment. They had freedom, but freedom within a framework. So if we give our entrepreneurs they're basically entrepreneurs. If you give our subordinates too much freedom, they will do everything in every direction. They're like, hey, you can do everything. You can do marketing, sales, and innovation, and then they will only do what they're interested in. But if you tell them, okay, your framework is marketing, do everything you could possibly do to make marketing, to get us people, get leads, then they have the freedom to do anything they could possibly conceive. And the important thing, give them the rights to decide, the rights, capital for marketing. Capital is really important. A budget. Create a culture of discipline. It all starts with disciplined people. Disciplined people will create a culture of discipline. If you have undisciplined people, you won't even get near to this culture of discipline. The point is that rinsing his cottage cheese was simply one small step that he believed could make him just a better one more small step added to all the other small steps to create a consistent program of super discipline. Rinsing your cottage cheese is basically, there was a really great runner and he were like, man, I want to be the best of the best. So he did everything, and the small stuff like rinsing your cottage cheese, getting the fat with a paper towel out of the cottage cheese he's having, this is the one small minute thing he believed was necessary to really get to the top. This is where you want to create your discipline, your super discipline. What is your cottage cheese? What is your rinsing your cottage cheese? Everyone would like to be the best, but most organizations lack discipline to figure out with egoless clarity that they can be the best at and they will to do whatever it takes to turn that potential into reality. They lacked discipline to rinse their cottage cheese. Righteous planning and competitor analysis, systematic market research, profit analysis, hard-nosed cost control, and so on. These are the factors of a disciplined culture. When Nucor had a highly profitable year, everyone in the company would have a very profitable year. But when Nucor faced difficult times, everyone from the top to bottom suffered. But people on the top suffered more. So this is a really devastating thing when you're at the bottom and you notice, hey, the management fucked up. They did everything wrong and now we're like having a really hard year, and you see them going on a massage. How do you feel? What do you think about them? Oh, these screw-ups. But when you know, hey, if everything's fucked up, they suffer even more than I am. This is a sign of respect. This is a sign of respect because you are only their tool, because you're so much down the hierarchy to implement it, and they fucked up. We're a crawl, rock, run company. It's like the spinning wheel. The first turn takes several months, years maybe. But after the first year, you gain momentum. And momentum carries with it power. Inertia binds you to stagnation. So once you gain this momentum, the second and the third turn just takes much smaller time, and then the company begins to crawl, and then they run. Every good to great company become a pioneer in the application of technology, but the technology themselves varied greatly. If a technology doesn't fit squarely within their three cycles, if you want to know more about it, read the book or write it in the comment box below, please. They ignore all the hype and fear and just go about the business with a remarkable degree of equanimity. This basically means that technology was part of the nuclear equation, but the secondary part. One nuclear executive summed up, 20% of success is the new technology that we embrace, but 80% of our success is in the culture of our company. So technology can really accelerate your progress, your success, but it's only a tool, and you need the right tool, not some tool that's training right now to accelerate your success. If you're personally developing your own, you are your company if you're only on step one and developing yourself. You think about what technology would fit into my life squarely that will help me implement everything I want to accomplish. But technology's role was an accelerator of Bethlehem's demise, not the cause of it. So technology works in both ways. If I just use technology to get a transformation, it will accelerate not up, but my demise. They will push the flywheel in one direction, then stop, change course, and throw it in a new direction. And then they would stop, change course, and throw it in another new direction. After years of lurching back and forth, the comparison companies failed to build sustainable momentum and fell instead of what we came to call the doom loop. So basically, this sums up the whole book. This is the most quintessential part. You need to move in one direction. And what is the most devastating thing or most the hardest thing to decide for one direction and actually stick to it. Most of the time when we decide, hey, I want to go in this direction, it's really hard because then doubt comes. But most people believe their doubts and doubt their beliefs. And how to doubt anything? Question it enough. Don't ever doubt when you know something is the right direction for your life. When the going gets tough, we go shopping. We go shopping for new technology. We go shopping to determine our own demise. Genius of end, instead choosing A or B, figure out to have A and B, purpose and profit, continuity and change, freedom and responsibility. This is the last golden nugget I got from this show, and freedom and responsibility really gave me chills because this is such a great concept. I have the freedom to do everything I want, but I take myself the responsibility to really get through my life's purpose. And now I want you to present you a special offer that will help you implement the golden nuggets. So what it means to you is you can simply go to the website and download the free PDF I'm using here right now and really get, to repeat it once again and write down the most notable stuff. So just go on www.flowfunnel.com/golden-nugget-show. It's also in the description down below.